right, everybody, this one's going to be fun, but it's going to be a bit serious. So I got to drop a great dad joke. Why did the filmmaker open a bakery? Because they needed a way to cover the rising interest with some dough, literally.
Terrible. Dad joke alert.
No? All right. Lights, camera, action. We're going to start with a financial plot twist, and we're going to dive directly into the intriguing intersection between finance and Hollywood. And while that may not sound exciting, you're going to need to stick around because I promise you it will be. There's a lot of really, really bad things happening to these studios, and you need to be here for it. A lot of people probably would assume I'm overstating the dire situation, but I'm not. It seems that the Federal Reserve, in their, infinite wisdom, has been raising interest rates, and Jerome Powell has actually decided to give us a break from those, at least this current quarter, at least this month anyway. And of course, we can't underestimate those impacts. We're talking about 10 rate hikes that have happened over the course of the past 14 months. That's a lot. It means you only got a month break between, the occasional rate hike. And this has affected the media business in the worst possible way. Of course, everybody else is affected by those things as well. So that, again, isn't good for anyone. It's creating a perfect storm of financial challenges for an industry that loves to shame and lecture their dwindling audience, otherwise known as their customers, which would be you and me. So let's call this part, the numbers speak louder than words. And they do. So hold on to your seats because we're going to reveal the brutal truth about what's going on and the astonishing debt levels that the motion picture and television industry is, suffering under.
You're being hyperbolic.
I'm not being hyperbolic. Seriously, there's some problems here. With an estimated total of over $150 billion in debt, all of the heavyweights, every single one of them, whether it be Disney, Warner Brothers Discovery, Paramount, Fox, Netflix, even NBC Universal, they're all suffering the weight of crushing debt. Now, the stakes, of course, are incredibly high, and it could be considered life and death for these studios. I mean, not the individuals per se, but the actual existence of these entertainment enterprises. And of course, there's a kicker. If their interest rates were to increase by the same 5 percentage points as the Fed hikes, then these companies would need to cover an additional $7.7 billion in costs just to break even. You know where that money is going to come from?
From where?
Nowhere. And that's not even considering the inflationary expenses that they're being dragged under by. You talk about the burden that they're under, it is substantial. What are they going to do?
Lights, camera.
Layoffs. Oh, man. You may recall that Disney is laying off huge swaths of employees right now. And I'm sure that you also understand that these 7,000 folks that are leaving them, they're just the beginning. And they're not going to be the only ones. There are other studios who are going to be at this as well. So. Now we need to crunch some numbers to put it all in perspective. Let's call it our own true version of movie math.
Well.
So if we're assuming an average cost per employee of about $150,000, that impact becomes a glaring reality. To cover the increased interest expenses that all of these studios are dealing with, these companies will be making some very tough decisions in regards to the number of employees that remain. Brace yourselves for this because it's staggering, and it's bad news for some of my friends right now. It means that there is a potential 12% staff reduction coming up soon. That's a huge haircut. That's equivalent to approximately 51,000 employees that they'll be removing with pink slips. And again, it's not good. This isn't the Hollywood plot twist that anybody wants, especially somebody who's working in that industry. You really don't know what you're going to come back to after these strikes are done. And as is often suggested, a lot of these companies may use force majeure to, haircut their companies even further. And worse yet, despite this all being preventable, is it was caused by freewheeling spending that, occurred for no other reason than the companies were flush with OPM.
other people's money.
And they were spending like there was no tomorrow, and they were at the same time driving the audience away who they should have been catering to. Of course, they were overspending on their budgets, and they set up a walled garden for their streaming systems or services, and they actually forgot how to create anything, which is the worst problem you could have as a creative company. And what's worse, it could potentially get even worse.
That's worse! That's way worse!
So let's talk about navigating the challenging and changing landscape of media and media delivery, because that's all the rage right now, and it makes a lot of sense. Financially, the roller coaster doesn't end with what they've suffered so far. The media landscape is rapidly evolving, and with challenges they're facing right now ranging from the viewing on their linear services, like their television stuff and their cable and satellite stuff. Nobody's watching that anymore. They've dropped almost 50% from the high point. And they're also having reduced growth in their streaming services as well. In fact, as a matter of fact, they are having retraction. You're having a loss of growth. You're to put it bluntly, it's stagnation and decay. Oh, this looks like their very own doom loop. And this spiraling wild ride could force companies to prioritize profitability over expansion, quality over quantity, and audience over agenda.
Absolutely not.
But this would certainly result in diminished production slates and inevitably lead to even more layoffs. Wow, doom loop. And of course, the industry is just now starting to really deal with or grapple with these changes, and they haven't been in the position to deal with this in a very long time. And because they obviously escorted the quality employees, the ones that were there forever out the door, in favor of some meritless virtue hiring, they lack the institutional knowledge or memory of how they overcame these types of problems before. You see how that works? Let go of the good people, bring in some unqualified people, catastrophe. And it's clear that the road ahead is anything but easily predictable here. I mean, we can look forward and make some assumptions, and those assumptions are going to be rather broad. We're probably only going to be able to guess at which studios are going to survive because, well, not all of them will. But let's push on to the conclusion here. Lights, revenues, uncertainty. So as we wind our way through the financial maze that they've put themselves through, we can't ignore the forward-looking economic uncertainty, because there's a lot of it. And hey, that's what I do here on this channel. So the question's going to be, are we sitting in a recession now, or are we bouncing into a soft landing? Only time will tell, but the worst outcome would be a hardcore, deep recession. At least it would be for Hollywood, and for you and me both, to be fair. Many mid-level and smaller players, studios, would be just flat out eliminated, and maybe they should be. But I would suggest that maybe those are the only things that should survive, because obviously the dying and decayed versions of what was once Hollywood needs to be replaced. However, there's one thing for certain here, and that is this is a new era of uncertainty. The industry actually must figure out how to adapt to their new environment. I mean, that's the obvious thing. This is an unfamiliar paradigm to, well, ideologues who wildly destroyed entire IPs and cut their audience in half. So they're out of their depth, to put it nicely. And while everybody hopes that increased revenues and innovative cost cutting, the numbers are the numbers. And unless the Fed decides to start cutting rates, companies will need to find ways to navigate higher inflationary pressures, higher interest rates, higher costs, and all of the things that go into making anything. This is going to be hard for them to live within a new financial landscape. So ultimately, we come to a challenging climax.
Challenging? How so?
And no, that was not what you think. Truly, the lights are beginning to fade in Hollywood, and the story is definitely coming to its conclusion. Or maybe it's a new chapter. But the impact of these interest rate hikes on the media business is undeniable. It's a challenging era-ending climax that will test the resilience and the adaptability of even the biggest players in Hollywood. People are going to have to learn how to spend wisely. And we need to prepare to bid farewell to some of these studios here in the future, because they won't exist. But we struggle to find empathy for that situation. I mean, I reserve my empathy for the folks who've worked in Hollywood for decades, older folks, responsible employees who understand the art of entertainment and the mechanisms of escapism. So ultimately, The one thing Hollywood is missing is wisdom, and that's where we wrap it up. If this is your first time here or your 100th, I want to say please consider subscribing. There are about 40% of you that aren't subscribed to the channel who see the videos. If you subscribe, it's going to help the channel grow. I have a goal of getting to 10K subscribers by the middle of July, and I think we can make it, but we can make it faster with your help. So, you know, take a shot if this is your first time here, and if you've been here a while, you already know you like the stuff, so hit that subscribe button, and while you're here, hit that like button as well. It helps drive the algorithm. If you have thoughts or insights into any of this, feel free to use the comment section down below, because I love having an engaging conversation there. And of course, that's a wrap. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye.